This is my friend Loch Kelly. Many of you know him. He has significantly inspired me in my work in non-dual IFS. And for many of us who are really working to find our way to integrate healing and awakening, to integrate this IFS we love so much with awakened awareness, with the depth of what Locke calls self essence. And the fun today is that we're going to get to dive in with Locke. And it's not just about this. Locke is going to be leading a full weekend immersion on February 7th and 8th. And I'm wanting to start with that just in case you're only going to watch 5 minutes of the video so you can hear about this. And as his teacher, one of his teachers, Ajahn retired, I'm so thrilled that Locke is still very available to our community and supporting us. And we're going to get to hang out with him for a while today. Locke Kelly.
Hey Sid, how are you? Good to be with you as always. Nice to have some others who you know join us as well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Locke. Let's dive in because you're giving this workshop, but this is you speak about the paradox of waking up and growing up. And just for all of us for a moment, waking up and growing up, how do we bring these two together? Is it a paradox? Well, we have a solution to this paradox, and Locke is about to tell us about it.
Yes. So as we know, for meeting different people who are drawn to doing psychological work and healing work, as you're calling it, and then awakening work or meditation work, they often overlap a little bit or touch, but sometimes they have different models. So that the growing up is working with, starting with what hurts and the pains and the trauma that we have, and just doing the best we can with our relative healing and our resources of psychotherapy and trying to get ego strength and positive thinking and a lot of relative good growing up and healing up practices. And then meditation starts almost by describing the end. It's like the goal is that if you do this meditation, you're going to have at least some more calm, peace of mind. You can have ultimately, there's something called our awakened nature. And in this tradition of non-dual meditation tradition of mostly the Buddhist style is the one that myself and Adyashanti and others practice. The premise is that the awakeness or this upgraded sense of clarity and peace and well-being and love is already here within us, and that it's essentially who we are, and it has the capacity to be with whatever pains, hurts, traumas, parts of us that are in distress. And it's not just a pacifying dimension, it's an active leadership potential that can operate optimally in the world from this wise and loving capacity. So bringing these two together has always been my interest. I did degrees in psychology and spirituality and went to India and studied there, and then came back and did a degree in social work and worked in outpatient mental health clinics, and then tried to bring them together and in this curious way. And then at one point, certainly met Adyashanti, and he and I bonded and became colleagues. And I took over for him when he was had a health crisis at one point. And then I met Dirk Schwartz, who came to one of my seminars and said, my guides have told me that I should teach with you. And so he and I taught how to access self using the beautiful map of parts and managers and firefighters and exiles that he had so well describes for us experientially. And then I had spent so much time on this awake consciousness, which you could call no self or self, whichever you like. It's the pure awareness has no self in it, but as soon as it touches the formlessness touches form and starts to mingle and become non-dual, which means simply interconnected, interdependent, embodied, multidimensional, simultaneous awareness and aliveness, then there's a quality of a unique wave in the ocean of this beautiful life that we live.
Wow. I was supposed to say so many of those things that Locke just shared in my intro, and I had them written down, and then Locke showed up on the screen, and I'm so happy to see him. It's like what I'm excited about in your programs, which I've again done so many of those, is watching people have a transformative weekend or a transformative week. It's just amazing to watch people come and be like, oh, I've done this. I've done non duality for 10 years. And then at the end of the week, they're like, there was something so different here. Will you tell us more, Locke, about the special sauce? What's so different when they come and do a retreat with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the main thing is I've always thought, okay, if I'm going to teach someday, I want to teach the way I want, I liked to be taught or wanted to be taught when I would be with people who were like, why are they telling stories and giving theory for like days on end? Let's get to the experience. So I'm very much of a how-to person. And translating the reports from authentic people who have had these amazing awakening experiences and healing and who are genuinely these loving beings who have done psychological work and have come from extreme shutdown, depression, anxiety, terror, and then have found ways to show up for themselves and do the work of uh, just growing up out of that happened before and now isn't happening now, yet is impinging because of the nature of, as Bessel van der Kolk, says, the body keeps the score. So holding those imprints and patterns and what IFS calls parts that have not only thoughts, feelings, and sensations, but a worldview, almost like a sense of identity that takes over, and how people have healed from that, and then how people have awoken from that sense of a small self or manager that's trying to keep it all together because we are sensitive human beings. And as we grow up, we don't have the capacity to independently live in the world as a baby or a young child. So at some point, the growing up, there's a potential when waking up happens from this small sense of self to this magnificent, innate, interconnected presence of all is well and uh, sense of peace and uh, unconditional love that is palpable. How do we not just describe that or keep talking about it or focus on the problem, but give a taste or what I call a glimpse of it? Because if it's already here, if the premise is, all right, which is the unique premise of the non-dual tradition versus many meditative traditions, which are more gradual path. If it's already here and it's always been here and it is who we are and it's already installed, uh, then can we at least taste it or or experience a moment of its authentic nature, and then from there meet the parts that are feel isolated, lonely, unloved. And so this is really what we do. We kind of set up the the premise, and give a sense of like, okay, well, here's what seems to be generally, as best we can say, what has been reported to be true, that the awake consciousness is already within us, that this we're currently operating from this limited sense of self. We don't need to, and then the unique combination of IFS and wisdom traditions is we don't need to get rid of the ego. It's not that it's an illusion, it's a delusion that it is the center of us, but it's actually a functional part of us. So just ask that part to step out of the center and meet and greet the and become the awake consciousness, which then starts as this pure awareness. But the real move of this tradition of Mahamudra or isn't that it's just waking up to pure awareness, because that can lead to a kind of a bypass or a getting it and losing it. And but the integration of what's called same taste or non-dual presence or embodiment or self essence comes into self energy. Awareness then arises as content and a wave of thoughts, feelings, sensations, parts that the awareness is awareness, or self with a capital S, is within all parts, even those that are mean or hurt, and that they're not two, that there's a mingling, a dynamic, but that the just that little self leadership, which is that the awareness is 51% primary, no matter what's happening. As soon as it's caught by the identity of a small self, then we're asleep again, and then the waking is in the midst of whatever's happening in the storm, and that there is a knowing that the sky is not hurt by the storm.